Welcome everyone. I'm excited to kick off our presentation today. We're going to explore the fascinating topic of the physical properties of matter. On this first slide, you'll see the title Physical Properties, a glimpse into what we'll be discussing. Over the course of this presentation, we'll cover key concepts about how matter behaves and what characteristics define it. So, let's dive in and discover the intriguing world of matter together. Let's talk about some physical properties of matter. These are characteristics like density, which is how tightly packed the particles are. Then there's the state of matter, which can be solid, liquid, or gas. Texture is another important property, how something feels when you touch it. Shape refers to the form that a substance takes, and color is simply what it looks like to our eyes. Now, the key thing to remember is that these physical properties are observed or measured without changing the actual identity of the matter. That means we're not altering what the substance is. We're just describing or measuring its characteristics. Understanding these properties helps us identify and analyze different types of matter in everyday life and in scientific studies. Today, let's talk about two important types of physical properties, mass and volume. Mass is essentially how much matter is contained in an object. Think of it as the weight of the object, but in scientific terms, we measure it in grams. It's a key concept because it helps us understand the amount of material we're dealing with. Now, moving on to volume, this is all about the space an object takes up. It's like how much room an object occupies in three-dimensional space. We usually measure volume in liters or cubic centimeters, depending on the size of the object. Both mass and volume are fundamental in understanding the physical characteristics of objects, and they're essential for comparing different materials or objects in science and everyday life. Let's talk about one of the key types of physical properties, density. Density is all about how much mass is packed into a given volume. Think of it as a way to measure how tightly or loosely matter is arranged. Each type of matter has its own specific density, which helps us distinguish one material from another. To find the density of an object, we simply divide its mass by its volume. This relationship is fundamental because it connects the mass and volume, giving us insight into the material's characteristics. Understanding density is crucial because it helps us identify substances and predict how they will behave under different conditions, tying into our overall exploration of physical properties. Let's talk about some types of physical properties, specifically focusing on the temperatures at which substances change from one state to another. These are known as melting and boiling points. Melting point is the temperature at which a solid turns into a liquid, like ice melting into water. Boiling point, on the other hand, is the temperature when a liquid changes into a gas, such as water boiling into steam. Understanding these points is important because they help us identify and classify materials based on their physical behavior. These temperatures are key indicators of a substance's characteristics and are essential in many scientific and industrial applications. So, by knowing the melting and boiling points, we can better understand how substances behave under different conditions and how to use them effectively. Now, let's talk about the types of physical properties, specifically how well a material allows heat or electricity to pass through it. This property is called conductivity. For example, metals are great conductors. They can easily transfer heat and electricity, which is why we use them in wiring and cookware. On the other hand, materials like plastic do not conduct heat or electricity well, making them good insulators. Understanding conductivity helps us choose the right materials for different applications, whether we need something to transfer energy efficiently or to block it. This concept ties back to the overall theme of how material properties influence their uses in everyday life. Now, let's talk about the different types of physical properties, specifically focusing on magnetism. Some substances have the interesting ability to attract or repel magnets. This is what we call magnetic properties. For example, most metal objects are magnetic, meaning they can be attracted by a magnet. On the other hand, materials like plastic and wood are not magnetic at all. This difference is a key physical property that helps us distinguish between different materials and understand how they interact with magnetic fields. Recognizing whether a substance is magnetic can be very useful in many applications, from everyday objects to industrial processes. So, understanding magnetism as a physical property helps us see how materials behave in relation to magnetic forces. Now, let's look at how different professionals use the properties of substances in their work. Scientists, for example, identify substances based on their properties. This helps them understand what materials they're working with and how they might react in different situations. Chefs consider the melting and boiling points of foods, as well as the conductivity of metals, when they're cooking. These properties influence how ingredients behave and how heat transfers, which is crucial for preparing dishes perfectly. Engineers, on the other hand, use physical properties to select the right materials for building structures. They look at things like strength, durability, and conductivity to ensure safety and efficiency. Overall, recognizing these properties is essential across many fields because it helps professionals make informed decisions tailored to their specific needs. It's a great example of how understanding the physical properties of substances connects to real-life applications.